Morning. My name is Bill Joel, and I am Director for the Undergraduate Research Alliance. And I started this many years ago with the intent of trying to get people together who work with students at the undergraduate level in original research. And originally, when we first started talking, we started first discussing what makes it work, what are the problems, et cetera, and we did fairly well. Now we need to move on to the next stage, and the next stage would be trying to do two things. One, move it out of just the yearly SIGGRAPH get-together, discuss what we did the last year, what worked for you, what didn't work, and we would like to move it to a year-round cohort. So we constantly keep in touch with one another so we can talk about what's working, what's not working. More importantly, I'd like to get a steering committee put together so that we can have a group that's actually facilitating this and building the group year round so that when it comes to SIGGRAPH like this, we have 3 people showing up today, which is fairly typical. We usually get about a handful each year. I'd like to get more, but the way to get more is have people invested in the Alliance year round, and therefore they look forward to meeting people face to face at SIGGRAPH. Now, with that said, you can record if you wish. They have these things. So it's interesting they added these to the slides. It's kind of amazing. Okay, so for today, what we're going to do is we're going to revisit the benefits and the challenges of undergraduate research, some of the things we found over the years, share undergraduate research experiences. So once I move away from the mic, I will come out there, stop recording, of course, and we can just talk about what we're doing, et cetera. We can each discuss plans for the upcoming year, what kind of research you're going to be doing with students, et cetera. And lastly, I'd like to see if I can convince maybe 1 or 2 of you to join a steering committee. Maybe all of you, I don't know. No push. This is going to be an effort. Probably going to need time to grow. One of the reasons why I want to form a steering committee is that there's another group that I actually co-chair, and that's the Undergraduate Master Collaborative Animation Projects. And that we have a 6-member steering committee. We've been somewhere between 150 to 200 students worldwide participating in international animation productions. Undergraduate, graduate, it's going very well. But the one thing that made that one work was a steering committee, who are the people who get together periodically and we plan out what we're going to do next, et cetera, and keep it moving. And I realize that that's what this group really needs. So I'm going to take what I've learned from the other group that I co-chair and try to make this a little bit better. So the mission, the mission is to foster original research in computer graphics and interactive techniques at the undergraduate level. That's what URA does. We don't have funds, we don't create the research, but rather we try to get people together to really encourage that you have undergraduate research. Then also to facilitate some interinstitutional research projects, if possible, at the undergraduate level, get schools to work together, and to provide a platform for educators to share experiences regarding undergraduate research. Now, why undergraduate research? That's a question. And this is something which, as I said, in previous years, we've actually looked at, discussed ad nauseum. We really have. And what we've come up to is some things such as students can, first of all, develop creativity, problem solving, and intellectual independence, which doesn't always happen during the classroom experience. They can improve their communication skills, because when you're working in a problem, at the undergraduate level, and you've got a team you're working with, you have to be able to communicate effectively what you've done, what you need as a member of the team, et cetera. Find opportunities to present and publish their ideas. For example, the posters at SIGGRAPH. I will now be the proud papa and say that last year my students submitted a poster of research they did, and not only did they submit, but they ended up being semifinalists in the research competition at the undergraduate level, and we were very, very proud of them. But this doesn't happen unless you have the undergraduate research, and you get the students to submit. So this is so these are benefits. Also, it tests their determination and perseverance. A story from my past is I had one student who spent 2 semesters working on a research project with me. It was something he was very interested in. At the end of the 2 semesters, he goes, "We didn't get through more than a third of what we had planned." And I said, "Welcome to research." That's what happens. You set goals, but you constantly reevaluate the goals. You constantly say, and sometimes you may have a thesis, a theory that you think something should happen, and then you do the research and find out, no, it's wrong. It doesn't work. Well, guess what? That's publishable. That you tested out some concept and you can prove that it doesn't work, publish it. And that's something students have to learn, that our understanding of a given discipline grows not only by the successes, but by the failures. But they're not failures in the sense of, negative. It's kind of like a positive negative. Failures are positive. It just means you proved it can't work. Better understanding of published works. What we'd like to have students to be able to do is to, when they read literature, we'd like them to know what's there. Well, if they're involved in research, they have an understanding of the research process. They have an understanding of how people actually perform research, because they're doing it. So when they read the paper, they have this more of an intuitive sense as to what's happening in the paper. They read them better, they can get more out of it. Also, students can learn to balance collaborative and individual work. If they're working in teams, some of what they do is going to be just them doing something for the team, but sometimes it truly is a team effort on some aspect of the research project. They begin by doing undergraduate research. They're able to start building their area or areas of interest. What are they interested in within the discipline? Because most of the disciplines that are taught at the undergraduate level are fairly broad. They're not as narrow as career paths end up being. It also helps them to jumpstart their careers as researchers and discover their passion in research and continue on to maybe graduate studies, faculty positions, or work, but whatever they're going to go for. Now, some challenges. Colleges and universities have generally not yet managed to find fair, appropriate ways to value mentoring of undergraduate research in the tenure and promotion process. Why? Because graduate research, if there is a graduate program, generally takes the bulk of the kudos. Undergraduates, many years ago, I did a sabbatical where I visited numerous universities, colleges in the Northeast. I come from Connecticut, that's my university. But I was on sabbatical and I wanted to see what other people were doing. So I went on sabbatical, I went to all these different schools, all the way up to Montreal, down into New Jersey, we're talking Northeast, I went all over. One of the things I found is if there was a graduate research program, undergraduates often ended up being free labor. I don't like that. I really think that you can do this. You can have undergraduates do good work. Give them something that meets their skill set. But they can do research. Don't make them just, my undergraduate degree was in chemistry. My graduate degree is in computer science, but my undergrad was chemistry. It's like bringing in the graduates to do nothing more than clean the test tubes. No, that's not what we want people to do. We want them to really be involved in the research. They have ideas. Many faculty see a clash between the demands of their personal research, which in many universities is a make or break for tenure, and an institutional urge to promote undergraduate research. Some more challenges. Mentorship of undergraduate research is immensely time-consuming. Because the students have a lower skill set than, say, a graduate student, there is a bit more that the faculty member has to do to mentor the students. They have to find out what they know, don't know, et cetera, and tailor their job to something specific. And even better, but even more importantly, if a student has an idea, maybe they want to have their own research and start undergraduate, A lot of times as faculty we have to say, you know, you're really not going to get that done because they don't understand maybe as well as how to formulate a research proposal that is doable within a given amount of time. Graduate students are able to do that a little bit more easily, but undergraduate students aren't there yet. So it's a bit more work on the faculty. Undergraduates are by definition not disciplinary experts, and their laboratory, library, fieldwork, or studio techniques are rarely mature. They're just starting out in their discipline. But that doesn't mean that they cannot do things. For example, earlier on I said, helps them to understand literature. Well, one of the ways I get students to help to understand literature is, sometimes if I get a student to join the research team, and he's maybe a freshman, I have him do literature searches. Well, what does that do? Well, it helps them, first of all, to get acquainted with the area of the research, but it also allows them to be part of the team. They're really involved. They're making a contribution. Also, challenge is developing student skills requires a serious commitment of faculty time and energy. Undergraduates are just learning how to be self-starters. Graduate students are often there. Undergraduates, they're still learning. Okay. With that, we can stop the tape. And now I'm going to walk out from here.